Well, Happy New Year. It is good to be back.
It is, isn't it? No Christmas tree.
No Christmas tree.
Although it wasn't the last episode anyway, was it?
No,
man, that's a bit of a mute point.
Yeah. New Year, same two blokes, same dining room.
Yeah.
And we're back to record another episode, and I'm actually buzzing to be back. So
yeah, I think it feels weird, doesn't it? Because our first two episodes of last year, we were in the Cozy Club.
True.
Because I was having like renovation and decorating stuff here, but we're not. We're back in the same dining room this year. So
it feels like simultaneously yesterday and so long ago.
Yeah, it really does.
Weird.
Yeah. I think it was odd, wasn't it? Because obviously we did the two workshops in 2024 and then came back there in January, which was only a couple of months after we were there last.
True, yeah.
For that. And it was really odd because I ended up going to London the other day for a family thing and we stopped in Guildford on the way home and went to Cozy Club for lunch on the way home. And I was like...
This is my second office.
And pretty much I came in and Ro was like, "Oh, do you know where the toilets are?" I was like, I could walk you there literally now. Like, we're not even in the restaurant yet. And so, it felt really odd to kind of be back there and also not for work to go and have a really nice lunch as well. So,
yeah. Well, it's nice to be back. And I think we're both in very different situations with work at the moment. Like, I've got a huge backlog because of baby and taking time off for Christmas and whatever, whereas you're starting to settle down, aren't you, into winter?
I feel like I'm seeing the light at the end, which I wanted to kind of be out the tunnel and basking in the sun by now, which hasn't happened. But definitely, I think I'm probably further down the road with edits than you are. I'm working on my last gallery now from last year, and I'm about 2/3 done with that. But then my first wedding of this year is on Saturday. Okay. So I think I always kind of like strive to get my edits done. And I probably put far too much mental weight on myself. Like, I think I wear that millstone of an edit queue like too much. Like, it bothers me too much. And so I'm very much like, I wanted to get it done so I could have some free time without carrying the edit queue. And then now it's not going to happen. I might have a day where that one's gone and the next one's
It's always going to, the editing queue is always going to bother us. That is by the nature of what we do, right? It's not stopping it from bothering you. It's how you handle, how you act on that. Like, there's always going to be that anxiety or that like thing in the back of your brain, like, I've got an editing queue. I don't think that it will ever change. It's just how you deal with it. Do you then like hunker down and not talk to anyone for 3 months, or do you just like deal with it? And I
think there's so much of that in our businesses as well, and it's something that even from the conversations that we've had since like you got here this morning, like we've been going for a while. Before we've even jumped onto record, haven't we? Because we haven't seen each other and kind of talking about how kind of the first couple of weeks of the year have been. And I think maybe like the longer that I've been in this, or maybe because I've had that little bit of maybe clarity kind of or time off to kind of think about it, is I think so much of the kind of the crosses that we bear in our business or the weight that we put on ourselves is pure. So much of it is mindset, or how much you see someone else's Instagram post and it makes you feel seen or make you feel not enough, or like a lot of it is kind of smoke and stuff. And I feel like, again, with our edit queue, it's the same. It's like you set the deadline on it, and if you're not meeting those deadlines consistently, maybe you should have made the deadline longer, or you need to factor in kind of having balance or life in that in when you make that deadline in the first place. Don't just set it as 6 weeks because that's what everybody else does. And so I think there's so much of it, or maybe I'm going to try and go into this year, I think, with a kind of more reason of balance of, and again, I don't think, or I don't think anybody does, I don't really think of myself as a really selfish person. And then maybe that's maybe what needs to happen more is look at something and go, what's right for my business? What does the industry dictate to what should be expected? How do I compete?
It's not
about competing. In the end, I think it's very much now like, or more than ever, to kind of know I want to run my own race, set my own expectations. And then again, because if you listen to our end of year review episode, like both of us don't actually, like, again, we're far from 10 weddings a year, but we're not doing 50. Like 30 couples isn't actually that many. Like, if you think of all the couples in the world that are getting married this year, to only have to appeal to 30 of them is not actually that many.
Not bad,
so you can afford to be kind of a little bit more direct or selfish, I guess is the right word, in the way that you do operate. And as long as that's good enough for the 30 people that book you, then
and
it's
most
fine.
Most of those people want you or want me for who we are, because of the way we run our business, the way we brand ourselves. And so whether it's a month delivery time or 3 month, 4 month delivery time, don't think it's going to make a huge difference to a lot of our people, to be honest with you.
Also as well, like, again, because we offer a really chilled service, most of our couples are pretty chilled. You'd like to think that, again, it's they go, well, if it's a day, it's a week, it's fine. If they take 2 days to reply to an email, they're not the people that are hounding you every hour going, you haven't replied yet, because they're chilled. So hopefully,
I literally had a call with a couple the other day who they didn't end up booking, but the couple were both there, and for some reason, like the bride went off somewhere to go and do something, and it was just a bloke left, and he was just like, just a question, mate, how long is this going to take to get film back? And I was like, probably around like 4 months ish. That's the most I've ever taken. So I would sort of aim for that. And he went, not going to lie, much longer than I expected. And I was like, well, that's just how it is. And they didn't end up booking. And it clearly did. He just like, he went, and it was like, you could see his clock ticking that he was expecting something quicker.
But I think going back to that mindset thing, I mean, at the beginning of time, or even another time, you could walk away from that going, I need to be quicker. Or you can walk away from it going, well, I've dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, he wasn't my person.
And I think it's very much, isn't it? And you can, and in that instance alone, you can see how two schools of thought interpret that so very differently.
There was no appreciation of like, oh, this work takes time and I do other couples and things. It was straight away like, that's long, isn't it? Like, why does it take that long? Yeah.
And I think that's it. And I'm also expecting you to either apologise for it or justify it, I guess. And that's it. Where I think so maybe, going into the new year, I'm going to try, that's going to kind of feel that's going to be my mantra for the year, is that kind of, that I need to kind of do things maybe more on my terms, not just like be an absolute like selfish asshole, but very much like listen to my needs as much as, or rather than Instagram.
Hold your business around yourself, isn't it?
That's it. So again, obviously this was your first Christmas as a dad.
Yeah.
So how was that? Like Addie's first Christmas and navigating Christmas with a baby.
It was good. It was nice to have a bit of family time because obviously other than those first like 4 weeks or whatever, 5 weeks that I took time off and we were sort of like sharing the responsibility, other than that I've sort of been back to work and I sort of see Addie for maybe an hour in the evening before she goes to bed, so there's not a lot of like that family time dynamic at the moment. So having that like week or 2 weeks off was really nice because we got to like plan things and go to Kent, see my family, Christmas with Kate's family, and like time together, like whether it's like going shopping or for walks and things like that, and doing all those things and like sometimes quite spontaneously was actually really lovely. And it always is at Christmas, like because me and Kate realised how little time we've spent together in the last like month or so, and we're like, oh, it's just nice to spend time together, and neither of us, or for me in particular, not saying, oh, I should be working right now because I have cut that off. And the out of office is on and they've cut it off, and there's no chance of me going back to my office during the day because I'm bored, because I've said it's Christmas, I'm not doing anything. And
I feel like, again, Christmas almost gives you a bit of a hall pass for that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like I'd like to think that nobody's going to message you on Christmas Day going, oh, Chris, I'm just up asking for an update on my wedding film. Like they're not going to on Christmas Day, but like that period, you'd think very much is to a degree is people don't expect you to be at work.
I had one on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Where's my film? And then I had to get the same person again on New Year's Eve. I was like, I've been off for Christmas. Like I did not expect your film to suddenly be complete between Christmas and New Year's. But like you say, most people were absolutely fine with it. I put it on the tracker saying I'm off anyway. And like in terms of baby, most like I think I'm quite, I don't know whether I'm a realist or just sound really like weird about things. Most people are like, oh, it's going to be your first Christmas with baby, it's going to be so lovely, it's going to be so exciting. It's like, it was exactly the same as normal except with a baby there, because she doesn't know what's going on.
I think especially at this stage, and obviously again, like to have a 2-month-old at a first Christmas is very different to having a near 1-year-old at a first Christmas, isn't it? But even then, I think it's probably going to be in those kind of future years where they understand a little bit more, or you have that kind of golden period of the magic of Santa between sort of like 3 and 5, those kind of years where they kind of really hard believe, or you can go and do festive things in the build up where like, hey, this year it's just a day where they don't really know what's going on. It's like, you've just made me dress up like a Christmas pudding and like parked me under the Christmas tree for a photo. Like I think they're maybe more for you, aren't they, than those years when it becomes like family.
Yeah, definitely. And I've got the camcorder out as well for the first time for personal stuff. I said I bought it for personal as well, and Christmases was one of the things that's like a non-negotiable for that. So we did get the camcorder out a little bit. And filmed like us opening her presents with her and things like that. I opened a record amount of presents because she got loads, and she can't open them herself yet. So I got to open lots of toys and things like that, and that was lovely. And it was a really good family time for Christmas. I had a wedding on the 23rd of December, which was okay.
And you weren't dying this year.
Yeah.
So me and you did a wedding, didn't we, on the 23rd, last year.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen you look as rough or as broken. Like how you managed to function through that day, I still don't really know now. Yeah.
I recently delivered their uncut footage because they paid for it a year on. And I was looking back at the footage and I could hear myself in the background just sounding
like wheezing.
Like with the breath. And it like gave me PTSD watching the footage back of how I felt. It was the worst I've ever felt in my life because it was so close to Christmas. I couldn't find cover. So did the wedding on the 23rd. Then I did my first New Year's Eve wedding, which was quite fun.
It's interesting. So going now, would you do another New Year's Eve wedding?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah,
it's funny. I've never done one. I had one booked. and I took the booking, and then I think probably the more that I sat with it, I was like, I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
And then the couple cancelled like 3 months before the wedding.
Yeah.
And I've never been like so secretly happy like
Was that
in all
last
of
year?
my
Was
life.
that-
No, it was like a few years ago. It might have been pre-COVID now, but I was really grateful that they did.
Okay.
Like I think because my birthday's Boxing Day, I kind of get caught up in like Christmas and birthday, and there's all this stuff, and so that kind of that whole period for me. It's very much like, no, I'm not working, I'm not doing whatever. I did a wedding on the 28th in 2021. And after that, it was for a friend of like the family. And so kind of it was obliged, like my mum was a guest in the evening and stuff. So it wasn't kind of like strictly kind of work. But even after that, I was like, I don't like this. Like the thought of like waking up the day after my birthday and being like, I've got to prep for a wedding.
Yeah.
Like I really like that kind of bubble and kind of like that whole kind of time off.
I do think the 28th is different. I've done a couple on the 28th, and it feels like it's right in the middle of your, like you say, your limbo, your time off. Whereas New Year's Eve felt like I'd had a week by that point, really.
And I think also if you're not a New Year's Eve person, I always am. I think like I've never been, even as a child, I was never kind of really caught up, maybe because my birthday's the day after and it's kind of overshadowed it. I've never really been like a big like Christmas person.
Yeah.
But I've always liked the idea of New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Like again, or that was something that we always kind of celebrated more kind of as a family and stuff. We'd always go and do something New Year's Eve or spend that with family and like see the new year in.
Yeah.
And as we've become adults, we always travel and go and spend it with my wife's sister and my brother-in-law because we're really close with them. And like we've had like a whole new tradition of like family kind of New Year's Eves with them that I wouldn't compromise that, I don't think, for anything now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I kind of, if you have those traditions, then breaking that to go and do work is probably not the one. But for us, like, I mean, last time the year before last, we went on like a cabin getaway, that kind of thing. Yeah. This time we didn't plan anything because we didn't know how things were going to be with Addie. She wasn't going to know that I was away for New Year's. Yeah. They offered to pay. I sort of said, oh, it'll be this much just because it's New Year's. And they said, yeah, absolutely fine. So it was a no-brainer for me to do it. And with Christmas and New Year's, I don't tend to put too much emphasis on those particular days anyway. Yeah. So Christmas Day, I don't care what happens on Christmas Day, as long as the period between mid-December and end of December, there's some festivities, like little like coming round here for our little Christmas thing.
Yeah, that was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then like going for that like photographer and videographer sort of like meet up thing that we had, like Christmas dinner, and all those little things matter so much more. The whole period matters more than just
rather
than
you have to be happy because it's this day. And, I feel like Christmas Day, that in some ways has got a lot of expectation kind of with like tied to it, hasn't it? With that, or like the thing, or like just the whole occasion of you must be happy on this day, and it has to be this. And like I say, often those days aren't, or it is, because you have kind of family in different places that you need to kind of travel to, that you have kind of multiple versions of that day which aren't very ready on that day in the end. But like I say, it's the whole period that was kind of nice. But in terms of the wedding though, like for my memories of Christmas is like it was really cold but really sunny, much like today, which is like my favourite weather. And so to shoot a wedding, like some of the sunsets and the kind of like the light that we've had over the period, despite being freezing cold, has been good. Yeah. So was your wedding like that?
It was. It was a nice, perfectly sunny day. It was cold, but we had that low sun throughout the day, and that like brought the mood up instantly. But like there was just a buzz that I like. I think a lot of I say probably 90% of the winter weddings that I do, sometimes I turn up and I'm like, I've got to be a different videographer today because the atmosphere is different to my usual summer, like upbeat vibes. But for some reason I felt that on the New Year's Day, like everyone was really up for it. Like there was energy, there was excitement and that kind of thing. Maybe because it wasn't like right in the middle of Christmas. Maybe it's because everyone had made their New Year's plans. Yeah. And no one's doing anything the day after anyway. Yeah. It was a new venue for me. I got on with a couple really well and they were really invested in me and Josh. And just like, the photographer I got on with really well as well. And again, the weather was nice. So we got like a shoot during the day where we got like that low sun vibes and the couple. In some
ways, that's the good thing, isn't it? Like, the wedding that I had was wet when I did my December wedding, but again, very similar things. I think, like you've said, like that kind of anticipation of Christmas and kind of like it actually lends itself to people gathering, doesn't it? So I think to have that, and even again, New Year's Eve, for a lot of people, it is a signifier of a party, and so you're kind of in that amped mood anyway, or the expectation of, I haven't got to make New Year's Eve plans now because I'm going to be with all my mates at the wedding. Yeah. Then to get that weather. Yeah, it does kind of naturally kind of give you that feeling, and also then
we had outdoor reception drinks.
What? That's insane.
Yeah,
That's so good.
Like there was a big like conservatory style thing, and everyone got their like big group photo in there and headed outside and got prosecco. And I was like, to do an outdoor reception drinks in the winter in the sun. Yeah, it was just like.
But you can almost picture it now, can't you? Like people seeing their breath like on camera as they're stood outside, like hugging and. Oh yeah, I
said to the groom, I was like, if you didn't know it was a winter wedding, you wouldn't know by looking at the film because everyone's outside enjoying a glass of prosecco.
But I think it's that element of that as well, though, isn't it? Is that like that's the gamble of a winter wedding?
Yeah, definitely.
Like if you get a day like that, that is everything that you want a Christmas wedding or a winter wedding to be, other than snow.
Yeah.
But in reality, if you get a day which is like 10 degrees and drizzly and just grey. That's kind of like the wedding that if you're really unlucky, that's what you could get at that time of year. But the day that you had sounds like the pinnacle of...
If it rained, it would have definitely been a different story because, you know, the day was great. Again, outdoor reception drinks. We had a great couple shoot and then we had another sort of evening couple shoot, which is something which I wouldn't normally bother with, but
so
we had loads of time to do it. Was that?
Did you have to like light it or was it indoors?
Yeah, so I got the video light out and we lit it from different, you know, angles and things like that, and we took them out, and there's really nice areas around this venue. It's a lovely venue. And then I did the light from behind them and then sort of walking towards the camera a bit. It was so foggy you could see all the like little water droplets in the air, and it just looks so good. And usually I wouldn't worry too much about doing those sort of night things, but one, we had loads of time because we were all there until 1 a.m. anyway, and two, like the couple were well up for it. And it just felt right with that couple that they were just like, yeah, that's fine, let's do that again. So we had 2 couple shoots outside, and they obviously had fireworks and sparklers as well. Nice. So rain would have ruined pretty much all of that.
Yeah.
So it would have definitely been a very different wedding. But luckily the stars aligned and it turned out to be awesome. I cannot wait to. I've put together a little teaser which I'll probably post tomorrow. So
nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that. I think because I always think that like if I look back kind of fondly at some of the like Christmassy or like those December-y kind of weddings that I've done, particularly like Sam and Sophie's that we did last year, and even the one that I just did because I'm editing it now, I think that sometimes like there's so much more joy or excitement in those than there is in like a mid or late November wedding sometimes. I feel like you're on that real cusp of like when the clocks just go back that you kind of really get caught out with that like awkward sunset time. Do you know what I mean? Like it jumps from being like 6 to being like 5.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not early enough then that you can take the first couple shoot. Normally the one before dinner is the sunset shoot. Yeah. It's bang in the middle of dinner, but then at the same time it's still dark in the evening, and like the summer's still in distant memory enough that people are just a little bit pissed off about it. Where when you jump that kind of month over into December then, and you go inside and there's fairy lights hanging from everywhere and like fake snow, that you're like, this is much better. Yeah. Like it kind of like, almost like it's fully transitioned into winter and you're expecting of that then. You're not still kind of just like mourning the loss of summer.
You're up warm. And you're probably expecting a rainy, dark day. So to get anything other than that makes you feel like, oh, this is like quite nice and positive, and that cold and the drinks and everything flowed. And to be honest, like the New Year's bit, the actual midnight bit was probably the most anticlimactic bit.
Was it?
It's like by that point, you've done 4.5 hours of dancing, 3 band sets. Like it's the same people on the dance floor. And then when New Year's happened, everyone went, hey, and then you're back into the dance floor stuff again. Like it wasn't really much of anything happening. Which
is odd, because I think I kind of see kind of things play out in my head, where if you'd have said to me, or even again, like we're going to jump into kind of talk about AI in a minute, if you said to like ChatGPT, make me a trailer for a New Year's Eve wedding, it would start with people like with their arms on shoulders, like 10, 9, 8, and the couple in the middle like leaping and like whatever, and this kind of huge elation of like it being midnight, and then rewind to the day started, where like, or that would be like, you would need that anchor point to be like, this is New Year's Eve, there's this kind of whole countdown thing. And then if you didn't get that,
you'll see it in the teaser, and you'll be able to see the dance floor, because I put that a bit in anyway, but you'll see it's literally just people with like arms at sides just counting down, and the band counting down in the background. And I do think the band probably could have done more to hype that bit up, because they finished their song and the venue had supplied Prosecco specifically for midnight. Nice. They finished their song and went, you've got 30 seconds to get Prosecco before midnight. And it was like everyone was rushed out, and then half of the people were outside the room getting their Prosecco when it hit midnight. So it was a bit like, it didn't really quite work out.
So again, that bad planning kind of let it kill the vibe. Yeah.
But we had fireworks, which was at 10 o'clock. which is really cool. I loved filming that, and I got the drone up for it as
Nice.
well. It's quite exciting.
I guess that your newfound confidence after those cold sparks in summer, flying the drone at night.
Just left the drone up in the air and just let it record. And every now and then I went back to it and did like a little pan or whatever. But that's quite exciting. But yeah, loved it. It's good.
But again, I think more through it though, it was still the reality of shooting at wedding. You know, we spoke about me shooting that day to shoot till 1 a.m.
Yeah,
it still takes a toll, right?
It was a lot. Yeah, it was. So I started at 10 in the morning and then finished at 1 a.m. But
15-hour day, it's long.
Yeah. But I think, you have your dinner break, and then like evening reception in winter is kind of repetitive anyway, so we didn't record a lot. And in between like 7:30 and midnight, you're just starting in and out of the room anyway. Like I don't want to be there on the dance floor at all times. So I would go in there for 10 minutes, shoot some stuff, and then go back into like the little green room where the suppliers were and just sit and chill for a bit. It wasn't like really like pressured. And then also Josh, my star second shooter, he didn't stay till midnight. So what he did, he left and he was like, I'm going to go Macca's on the way home. And I was like, I'd love a Macca's. And he was like, well, it's 5 minutes away, so I'll bring it back.
Oh.
So he went to McDonald's and bought me, him and the photographer Mackey's back.
That's a gold star second shooter award there, isn't there? So you send your second to get you McDonald's.
Maybe upcharging for it next time.
The golden arches levy at the end.
But yeah, so it's actually like, it kind of felt like a good vibe, and it was I didn't feel as tired as I thought I would, or like as I thought that it would sort of get to the first dance when I normally go home, and I'd start to feel that like, I want to go home now. But because the energy and the vibe was there, it just didn't feel like.
Do you think though, again, and I know we've got a topic to jump into, so I don't want to kind of spend ages going into this, but I did 2 weddings, I think, last year where I stayed to the end, and I was booked to the end because of like later ceremonies and stuff.
Yeah.
And I did one the year before that I actually in the end found it really refreshing, like not having to kind of be, well, I've only got like an hour or two to get what I need on the dance floor, and then kind of almost like being like, people need to dance.
Yeah.
But because you've got all evening, like again, there was like, okay, so you naturally ride out the peaks and you shoot when it's high, but you don't feel the need to kind of push it when it's low, that you could kind of sit back and go, okay, something's happening now, I'll move in.
Yeah.
But you kind of, because you know that you're there anyway, like do you think that will change how you shoot going into this year? That almost that encouraging, that mindset, I'm going to kind of physically block out a little bit later in the evening so that I kind of, in my head when I go to the wedding, I know that I'm not going to leave till 10, and then kind of feel that you can be more mindful of how you shoot, or you don't feel that you have to plant yourself on the dance floor and stay for 40 minutes of that hour that you got after first dance, and people need to dance to get what you need.
Yeah, I do think that was 100% an element of it, and I was thinking that earlier, is that, like, you've got time in the evening to get stuff, or I knew I was going to be there for 15 hours, and I'm delivering a 10 to 12 minute film, so perhaps if there's nothing going on and I feel like I need to get content, normally I would like just film just for the sake of it, but there wasn't. There was 2 of us. Yeah. So there wasn't that element of I need to fill up this film because I'm there for long enough that I'm going to fill it up anyway. So, I don't know. I'd say during the summer I'll probably stay till 10 o'clock anyway, normally, or 9:30.
I feel like I have this year I've probably stayed later or last year stayed later than ever. Yeah. But particularly I think those ones where I knew I was there all evening, and I knew that kind of that, like the last half an hour or whatever would be a real heightened moment. Yeah. I didn't feel my need to kind of, if there was a little lull post first dance, I wasn't kind of being like, people need to dance. Yeah. Like I could go off and find other things to kind of photograph, or again just go, evening food's out, I'm going to kind of sit with that for a little bit. Yeah. If something happens, I'll run in. But I didn't feel that pressure.
Yeah, that's good.
And I guess it's, if you think about it logically like that, it's not the days that have an hour drinks reception or the ones that have a 2-hour drinks reception. Yeah. Like on the days that you got an hour, you're rushing to get candids, and they'll be like, the second that anyone has a hint of a smile, you're like bang, bang, bang. Yeah. Where on a day that it's 2 hours, it's like, let them get their prosecco, I'll just meander through, and because again, you've got time to kind of sit with it, haven't you?
You can think about it. Yeah. I think that is good, and for me, it also depends on the vibe that you expect. Because I had a wedding on the 23rd as well, and it wasn't quite that. And, the half an hour or 45 minutes into dancing, there was still only the same 8 people on the dance floor. I think it's never going to get better, I don't think, until probably maybe the last dance. The last dance or whatever. But so at that point, I left the probably normal time for that wedding. Yeah. So I do think it's like gauging, is there anything I'm going to be able to get? Like, are these people getting on the dance floor at some point? Or is it a case of no, these people would rather be on the sofas, just like
and I guess some of that comes down to experience and also reading the room, which we did a great episode on as well, didn't we? It's we segue back, and I think that's still one of my favourites now. So if you want to kind of, again, I don't think it's got maybe all the answers. You can tell whether a wedding's going to go one way or the other, but in terms of kind of being mindful of those things, it might be worth, if you're new to us and you want to look back and haven't listened to that episode, is look up Reading the Room. I think that's a good one. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
And the other thing I did was the little personal project I did over December was creating a little advert for my business.
Oh, the Christmas advert.
Advert, which I posted on Instagram. And this is something I've wanted to do for a while. I kind of like the idea of like the Christmas adverts and watching them on TV, specifically like the John Lewis ones and how they like pull at different heartstrings and that. And weddings are literally the perfect like avenue for that.
Yeah.
And to make it clear, I never thought this was going to advertise my business. Like, posting a wedding film is so much more effective than any of this, I think, or whatever it is. But I just thought that it would be a cool project. I've always wanted to do it, but never really wanted to do it enough or found enough value in it to go out and plan the shoot, get actors and whatever.
Or ask one of your couples on the date, like karaoke style, to be like, can you just like add this in, or can I use your footage and manipulate it to make an advert out of it? Yeah.
So I used AI for it. I was doing a lot of research on generative AI. It's great for video now. I wanted to make an animation, so I wasn't trying to make it look like a real wedding or anything, just in case people thought it was a real wedding, which I did get some comments, which I'll go into in a bit, saying how dare you use a real wedding to exploit a it's animation.
It's very obviously animation as well, isn't it? Like, I think at the moment there's still that balance of AI, isn't there, where people are kind of using it to make likenesses of people, and the likeness is there and it looks real enough, but you know it's AI. So I think if you'd have gone down that route, that would have been more kind of on the line. But it is very obvious very clearly, that it's animated.
Animated. And so I learned a lot about AI. And created that and put it on Instagram, and to be fair, like most people loved it, and so it was all created with AI, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a whole episode on AI, aren't we?
Yes.
Which will be released in a couple of weeks' time, so look out for that, and I'm going to break down how I did this and everything on that episode, so I won't go too much into it, but I just wanted to mention that I did do it, and if you want to have a look at an AI generated wedding videography advert, then go on my Instagram and
when this goes live, I think we should I'll share it across on the pod page as well, so if anyone that hasn't seen it can see it. And I think that'll almost kind of be like when you go to like a conference and they give you like pre-reading, that if you can look at the advert that you made before then you listen to the AI advert the episode that's going to go out in a couple of weeks' time. I think because you used kind of, if I know rightly, again we'll talk more when we do the episode, but there are multiple things at play of AI in there. It's not just like you've gone to one app and gone, make me an advert, and it's done it. You've had to use different levels of things, because obviously the same when you make a video, there's like voiceover audio, there's moving image, there's, and I know from the limited use that I've had of you kind of using generated image that it's never perfect first time. So I'd be really interested to know, Hannah, how many rounds of edits or things you had to change to actually get out of it what you wanted. It sounds
easy, right? There was a lot of that.
So again, that's kind of maybe a nice kind of real good setup for the episode that we're going to record this afternoon, and that you'll hear in a couple of weeks' time. So AI is definitely not going anywhere. It's been an episode that we've been wanting to update for a long time. Like I looked earlier, in episode 17 was our first actual AI episode, and this will be we're approaching episode 60 now rapidly.
And that was just me sitting there getting really frustrated that there was nothing for me.
Yeah, and I think there's been a couple of updates when obviously like Imagine introduced their video color graded AI stuff. So again, we're going to cover all of that in a whole dedicated episode. And I guess to link to today's topic, though, I think we're probably procrastinating on getting down to what the actual topic is, just by talking about Christmas for law.
So we're sort of deep into editing season, or at the back end of editing season for some people, and it can get quite repetitive, and you start to realise like you're getting up every day, you're going to the computer, that kind of thing. And so people really realise at this point, I think although it's a first world problem, it is a struggle to keep doing the same thing over and over.
I think because we're not shooting the gap.
Motivated.
I think that's some of the biggest gap, is that in the summer when you're editing, it's always, I've got to shoot in the middle or something else. Where at the moment, like for all the things we've just kind of said, is that it is pretty much like, and I even find this for Instagram stories at the moment, it's like, do I post another desk day? And that's all that's coming. So kind of, it is very much rinse and repeat. It does feel that you deliver and you're straight on to the next same task that you were doing a week ago.
There's no delivering. Then I'm going off to film another wedding, get some more inspiration or something. It's literally deliver, edit, deliver. And with that comes like, you start to realise if you're either a procrastinator or not, and how you sort of structure your work day and what works for you.
And I think that's probably the worst, the biggest kind of overall thing to say is that we can only offer, or we're only going to offer advice on what works for us.
Yeah.
And I think you'll even see in the way that we do things, ours are quite different because the way that we work is differently.
Yeah.
And there is no kind of right way to stand here and go, if you do this, it will be fine. You need to kind of, I think deep down, you know what type of person you are or what your triggers for distraction are. And so a lot of it is about harnessing those or kind of being aware of those and finding workarounds so that you spend less time procrastinating and more time actually doing.
Yeah.
And I know that when I kind of in the end of that to being honest to myself and go, okay, I know that that's going to lead me down a rabbit hole. Don't even go there.
Yeah.
Limiting my kind of temptation for those things are the things that have actually caused me in the end to be the most productive. Or
if you go down the route that I'm going, you embrace the fact you're a procrastinator, but use it to your advantage. I think. Okay. Yeah. I think it's possible. Maybe that's just me.
Maybe
justifying.
I'll be interested to know if there's a way that I could. Yeah.
I think. Yeah, there's nothing worse than a productivity expert telling you what to do because everyone works in different ways.
Yeah.
I think we are all self-employed and creatives, and I think you probably have to have a certain personality type to get there in the first place.
Yeah.
And that personality type is usually, from the people that I've met and the creatives that I've met, just a little bit all over the place. Like we're not like really structured people who set our days out hour by hour, or a lot of people who I know aren't like that. So
that's half the reason, again, when we did the episode on self-employment or the benefits of self-employment, which was 2 or 3 episodes ago, that was one of the things that both of us ranked up and was like, this is the best thing about this job, is that we can be a little bit all over the place because there's no one telling you have to be productive in these hours at these times, and you only get kind of set times to take breaks.
So everyone does work in different ways, and we're just going to talk about really what works for us. So the first thing that I would say is that I am kind of a procrastinator myself. I would say I'm incredibly self-motivated, but I like to reward myself with procrastination. Okay. So I use it like rather than, I'm not the sort of person who'll be halfway through an edit and pick up my phone and start scrolling TikTok. But if I'm 2 hours in and I feel myself like my eyes going, I will give myself that time to be like, okay, let's step back now, and like reward myself on this, like with a bit of procrastination. Like I'm not the person who will be in the morning setting my like from 9 till 12 I'm going to do this, from 12 to 1 I'm going to do this, because I don't know how I'm going to feel at those times. So for me, like I do come in, taking a bit of a break, like going to clean the office or sort my stuff out for tomorrow, or I even have a YouTube session if there's a new piece of equipment out or something like that I want to research or something that I want to buy. But you won't see me just accidentally going down a rabbit hole. It's all sort of almost planned that like, okay, when I'm getting really bored of this edit, I'm going to step back and do a little bit of like, okay, I'll give myself a 10-minute YouTube video because I've worked for 2 hours, or I structure my day so that the lesser brain heavy tasks are in the afternoon. Yeah, I think I was trying to definitely find that, always mix my tasks up. Like if I had 2 edits to do, like I was working on a wedding but then had another short job, I wouldn't go, oh, well, I can do that edit in the morning and I can go back to my other edit in the afternoon. Yeah. It'd almost have to be, I kind of have to have one kind of like photo-based activity for one of it, and then the rest of it might be something more kind of text-based, or again, something kind of a little bit lighter or something different. Just so that I have variety in my day, so it's not the whole day's not been spent editing. Yeah. Although there are some days when you're on a deadline, or I even feel I'm in the flow of things and kind of go, okay, I could get this done. And then that productivity drives me on. So like, how rewarded will I feel that if I could hit export on this at the end of my working day? That's worth kind of having a whole day on that. But for the most part, again, I was trying to split my tasks into kind of different things, in that because I think I have different barriers of ways to distract you with things depending on what I'm doing. Like if I'm doing emails, I can't listen to a podcast. Okay. It's too much words because I'll type the stuff which I'm listening, or it won't go in because I'm thinking about what I'm going to write. Where if I'm editing, I can easily sit with a really long podcast on, and the 2 hours that the podcast is really engages me, and I can edit away because I'm listening to the conversation. Where it has to be music if I'm doing emails or text-based stuff. Agreed. And a lot of times now I've actually gone to listen to a lot of like lo-fi and stuff like that, stuff with no words. Music with no words, because then I don't feel the words or the whatever. I'm not even singing along with it. I'm really focused on the words that I'm doing, because I think that can help you focus though, can't it? That lo-fi sort of music, like I find myself just zoned in and then not even realising. You don't realise the music is there, do you? But it's like, it's almost just, again, because silence I find so harsh sometimes. But then also I think, we're like, did you ever be in the car with your mum when you were a kid and she turned the radio down to park? I've got to concentrate and turn the radio down. Like I do that now. Well, and even sometimes if I find that
if I have something which is particularly serious to write, or like I was doing my taxes the other day, and when I'm like inputting those numbers, I turned it all off, and I was sat in dead silence for like that 5 minutes. I'm like, I just need to concentrate on this, and I can't have any distraction. Which then it made me think of that moment of, say, of the person turning their radio down to par. But yeah, I think it's those things for me. It's breaking tasks up or kind of tying certain things to certain tasks to help me not procrastinate, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And there's something to be said about dopamine. I haven't put this in my notes, but I was thinking it on the way here, and I watched, I went into a bit of a rabbit hole about like dopamine detoxes and things like that, like a year or two ago. And like, it's fascinating how all of that stuff works. And like, because let's say, for example, that you love watching like YouTube, you get into a YouTube rabbit hole or a TikTok, let's say TikTok. And TikTok obviously releases that dopamine, right? So you scroll through, you watch 5 videos, you're like, oh, this is really cool. And then you put it down and carry on working. The next day, those 5 videos aren't going to be enough for your dopamine receptors to like feel the same way. So you end up scrolling 10 to feel the same way, just like addiction or anything like that. So something to be said about like deliberately detoxing yourself from that stuff, so that when you do it, it's either for a reward or it feels more rewarding. But also, it's designed to do that. So don't get there, mate, and feel like it makes you a shitty human. That's the way it is. Like that's literally the role of social media, and it's done that. But I always find that sometimes, like going on social media when you're trying to do an edit is the last thing that I want to do, because then I see something and it'll make the job that I'm feeling on maybe make it feel inadequate if I'm in that some kind of mood anyway, or like kind of is. So I was trying to go, no, like I need to kind of look at this just for what it is, with no kind of outside things to kind of keep me in. And we live in a world where there's so many distractions. And right now, like you can go on YouTube, Netflix, you can listen to a podcast, you can do this. And like there are studies that prove that boredom is a huge, is great for creativity. And we never get bored because there's so much to do. So I drove here without any music or any podcast on. I was literally just like in my head, because your brain goes into what they call default mode, which is then thinking about like the future and things that you've got to do and things like that, and all the things that you just don't get time to think about, which is why when you're in the shower sometimes you come up with your best ideas. That's what I was literally about to say. Is that why most people's best ideas come in the shower? Because even though now that you can have a Bluetooth speaker and have some music on or whatever, you're not typing emails while you're in the shower, you're not watching, I used to be terrible. I used to take my laptop in when I used to have long baths and watch shows, because you could. But then like once, like now that we have a nice shower, I shower, and again I always find that kind of a lot of times the reason on a day that kind of things are really kind of like looming mentally, I can have a longer shower, and it's not to stay clean, it's just because I'm away from everything. And it's that almost like it's like a solitude of like, because even if you sit in the toilet you doom scroll, where on if you're in the shower you don't. So it's kind of, it does give you that bit of like clarity. So that is why, because you're essentially like forcing your brain into this default mode. And like there's been studies where they put people, I'm getting into a rabbit hole here, where they put people into rooms and said you can do nothing for 15 minutes. But there's a button in the middle of the room that electrocutes you if you press it. And every person electrocuted themselves rather than do nothing for 15 minutes, because our brain just wants to do stuff and get some sort of reaction back. But if you force yourself to do nothing, and I'm getting somewhere with this in terms of the productivity and procrastination, but if you force yourself to do nothing, then when you finally, for a start, you get better results when you finally start doing something. And secondly, it like resets that dopamine indicators. So where I'm getting with that is, if you are someone who literally is picking up TikTok every half an hour and whatever, then that's obviously gonna, or YouTube or whatever it is that's your thing that you procrastinate with, that's obviously going to give you some level of like, oh, I've done that now. But if you literally force yourself to go 2 hours without it and then give yourself 5 minutes to do it, it's going to feel so much more rewarding. And isn't that linked to like Pomodoro? That's like a method where you kind of set a timer, and they think that you can have like, and again you'd have to look the app up, like you can Google it, but you set a timer, don't you? Because like they say that you should be able to focus on this task for say 45 minutes. At the end of that 45 minutes, you can then reward yourself with a 15-minute break. So you're almost kind of like time manage your productivity, which for me would never work. But and in the mornings, generally I'm really focused, and like I'll sit there until lunchtime and smash out an edit. But in the afternoon, I know I'm less focused. So what I'll do is, like in the mornings, I'll give myself like the biggest task, which is normally smashing out a feature film or something like that. Listen to me smashing out editing a feature film, and like maybe going for a walk as well to get that like oxygen and things like that. But in the afternoons, I'll give myself that, okay, I've done a morning of really solid work. So in the afternoon, I know that I've got tasks, whether it's blogging or whether it's emails or culling or a ceremony and speeches, where I can sort of do stuff in the background.
Just quite mundane or something you can do kind of on autopilot. Yeah.
Well, culling, I'll have a YouTube video in the background. If it's like emails or if it's something else, I'll have a if I'm preparing for, tomorrow's shoot, I'll have a podcast in the background. If it's emails, I'll have music in the background. So I'm giving myself that like permission almost to have those things going on while I work. But obviously with video, you can't really do that when you're editing.
Yeah, and I guess that's much different for me. For photo, again, like I was saying earlier, I find it really easy to kind of be, okay, like I'm on emails now, that's like the music part of the day. And I feel like I have playlists for different tasks. Like I cull to the same playlist that I run to.
Okay.
So it's quite fast.
Yeah.
And so again, and I feel like it makes me far snappier in my decisions about images. Where if I was listening to my slow kind of lo-fi like whilst I was editing or whilst I was in emails, I would kind of float into what I was doing or get lost in something. Where if I'm like,
we've seen Bruce Almighty.
I'm culling.
I'm just imagining the scene with the keyboard and the coffee.
But that's pretty much like, again, if I know that I have to do a colour, maybe that's some of the reason I am fast at culling. Or I like to make quite snappy decisions. But I think the longer that I've been doing this job, I've kind of know the ways that I need to medicate myself with whatever sounds around me to succeed. And like you said about kind of blocking things off, is that I know that if my phone does go off, I will look at it. And if something that needs doing then, or someone messages and goes, oh, can this be done? It will bother me to distract me from the task that I'm doing. So I try to limit that. Like I don't have push notifications for Instagram. I don't have push notifications for email. The only thing that pretty much I have push notifications for are like WhatsApp and texts.
Okay.
So unless one of my friends or my family message me, and the chances are that's something which needs seeing to, I won't get a notification for it.
That's a really solid thing as well. Like we don't need to push notifications.
That was one of the best things that I did, particularly for even out of office times. If a client messages you at 10 p.m. in the evening and you're getting ready to wind down for bed, and it's like, oh, can you just do this? My brain's, I'll do that now because I'll forget in the morning, and I'll go straight back to my desk. Just to not look at the thing until the time it's the first thing in the morning again when I do my emails. For my kind of, not even just for productivity, but overall kind of well-being of work-life balance, is turning those push notifications off. Like realising the world isn't going to burn if you don't look at your emails for 2 hours is a big one.
And it will take you out of whatever you're doing because it takes time to get into focus, doesn't it? I mean, obviously, like we've all been victims of this, but nothing annoys me more than now because we've all got technology attached to us. Then when you're talking to someone and their watch pings and then you see their watch go in front of their face, and like I've definitely been tempted to have a look down at times, but sometimes I'll just not on purpose.
See, and again, that's one of the second things again that I would say, which is one of the biggest things for me doing that, is going back to an analog watch.
Did you have a?
I used to have a Garmin, which used to have, although I used to use it for running, and I still do. I change into my Garmin when I go for a run. I change back out of it. That was the same. I could answer phone calls from it. It would ping every time. Anytime a notification went off on my phone, the watch would go as well. And I remember, like, I have a vivid memory of being in someone's wedding ceremony. My camera, like my watch here, almost by my face while I'm taking pictures through the viewfinder. And like our family WhatsApp chat between my mum and my sister go pinging backwards and forwards 8 or 10 times during that wedding ceremony. And me literally taking every ounce of my being to want to take this watch off of my wrist and throw it across the room, because in the end I wasn't even looking at it, but the buzz was taking me away from what I was doing, and I was like, these people have paid me, or I need to concentrate on this part of the day.
Chat kicks off
and I couldn't do it because the watch was going off. Like my phone was in my pocket or in my bag or whatever, it didn't bother me. And even like day to day, like my phone and my watch are never that far apart. Like if I'm sat at my desk, my phone's on my desk. So even if something does go off, I can go, I don't need to look at that, and then go back into what I'm doing. But if you do need to look at it, but the watch, when it's permanently strapped to you,
it's always going to be in your peripheral, and you're just going to pop down.
And so again, although they may be great for convenience or for whatever, for me going out and buying myself a watch, which now I think is a prettier watch than my Garmin anyway, but it does the job of telling the time. For me, again, that terms of kind of being like my brain being connected or my mood thriving on my notifications, that was a big one for
it's almost like removing yourself from some forms of technology, and the watch is definitely a big one, I think, for me as well. Like you say, at wedding days or at the desk, if I like for the most part, because my phone's on silent, I don't know if it actually ever vibrates. Does it? I don't know.
But it's like
I don't really see notifications unless I'm actively looking for them.
Yeah.
But if I'm like working and then the group chat kicks off, I'm not going to miss out on it. So
Driving's another one. When I used to have my smartwatch, because it was there on your wheel to just kind of look at your wrist while you were driving.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you shouldn't. Like, there's a reason that you're not allowed to use your phone at the wheel. Yeah. But even staring at the tinier font on your watch to read a notification is even worse. But because again, it's constantly tied to you, you feel that vibration.
I'm a victim of it. Your hand's up, your wrist is up. Yeah. All you got to do is turn it, and you can.
And it's like, well, now, like my car, I can have audio things. So if someone WhatsApps me, I can choose to ask the car to read it to me, and it reads it like the radio plays. So again, it doesn't break your concentration.
Yeah.
And so that was a big one for me. I think is if you know that you are someone which is easily distracted or pulled off by other things. Limit them. And I must admit, again, like for someone who's as a kind of outgoing and as social as I am, I actually don't like co-working for that reason as well. Okay. Like I need to be away from people.
Yeah.
Like if I went to a co-working session, I've been to some in the past, and I accept for the fact I'm not going to get any work done while I'm there. I'm just there for the chat.
Yeah.
Because I want to catch up with my friends and engage and hear what they've got to say or what they're doing. But there's no way that I could just sit, like me and you couldn't just sit here now on our phones
and sit and work
call weddings
email,
because I couldn't do it.
No, yeah.
I just wouldn't get done.
Catch up and you'd be talking about stuff, and every time like a new email would come through, or you'd get to a certain part of a wedding, you'd be like, "What do you think about this bit?"
Yes.
Like, or what do you think about doing this at a wedding and things like that?
And I almost need to be alone to do that. Even I find it like Ro works from home 2 days a week. And sometimes on those days, like when I can hear her on like her Teams calls kind of talking, I'm like, shut up. Like, because I'm used to working in my office and me and the dog being the only people here.
Yeah.
And so you do kind of know that what I need now to succeed.
Yeah, I do a little bit of co-working, and I just I say like it's not really co-working, it's just a social meet-up, but you bring your laptop and you might get a few emails done.
Yeah, but that social element is important. I mean, to have conversations, and we've said multiple times, half the reason that we spend whole days doing 2 episodes of 2 1-hour episodes of a podcast is so that we can have that chat and that social and kind of those things. Yeah, I mean, that's hugely important. But I don't think that the two need to go hand in hand almost.
No, if you want to be super productive, the waste of it is not to go to a workspace with your mates, basically.
Yeah, definitely. I'd rather go drink a nice coffee and just hang out for an hour and then come home and do that culling task rather than kind of kid myself and be like, oh, I'm going to cull while I'm there, so it's fine.
Yeah, but you won't be focused. Yeah, and you might cull things that you didn't mean to or whatever.
Well, it takes you an hour to write an email that take 2 minutes if you're at home because you keep stopping and then you have to read what you've written.
With your little...
Oh, my little... Yes, Chris bought me a gift for Christmas. We haven't done show and tell for a while, have we? It's not out of the box. Yeah, no, it's not. To be fair, I've got Christmas presents that aren't out of the box. Yeah, like that. But now when I shoot the wedding on Saturday, I'm gonna make sure that I cull that with my little game controller that you got me. Yeah.
So me and Josh have both got one. They're little tiny game controllers. I think they're called 8-bit game controllers
off
of Amazon, and they're great for culling because they literally just like I just sit back. Like the desk chair is leaning back, and I've got this controller in my hand, and I can literally cull all of my footage from this tiny little controller. Rather than like being hunched over the desk and doing all this, like one screen's culling, the other screen is like Netflix, YouTube, whatever, and I'm just laying.
See, amazing people that do that. That can sit and watch. Like if that was on, I'd get sucked into it, and then.
It depends what it is. Like if it's something like Beast Games or something where it's like you got to like pay attention to every second of it and different. But normally mine's like a murder documentary, which is normally more of a pod that you can listen to it because anything shown is just extra anyway. So.
See, I just think maybe because I'm not a big TV or movie person. Like I know certain people have those. Like I said, I have certain music or whatever. Like I know some people go, oh, I put this box set on that I've seen 1,000 times, so I'm not interested to even go watch it because I've seen it so many times. I know what's going on. I have to look at the screen for it, and it's almost comforting to them to get what they need to get done. Where for me, it's never been that. It's always been like if there's something moving on the screen. Like for a while, I was like, oh, there's certain things on YouTube that I can listen to. But that's too much. Even if I come off of that, if I minimise that Lightroom window to open up something else, it's like... So again, all the things that a lot of times that I listen to, like long form podcasts while I'm editing are great because I haven't got every 20 minutes then got to close the window to put the next one on. Because I very rarely
just
even
let it go for the whole
even as a whole series, I wouldn't listen to 6 episodes of the same thing because then I'm like, I need some variation. Or a lot of times, like if I'm editing again, I'll go and go back to like live sets or live albums because it's like an hour and a half or 2 hours of something. And again, it ebbs and flows. There's faster songs, there's slower songs. There's whatever. And so that kind of breaks that up again. Or I have say set playlists for certain things. That's a good point, and it's really just a case of knowing what you need to kind of soothe.
So is your thing music then when you're culling?
Yeah. Again, that running playlist goes on. And it's very much
or podcasts.
Like boom, boom, boom. If I'm editing.
Editing is podcasts.
Because again, it's a long form thing. So again, someone can be talking to me. I'll probably talk back to it, even though I'm sure you guys do to this podcast. Is chat back to us while I'm editing.
I see. I like think. I'm just imagining myself like adjusting all the sliders on photos and trying to listen to a podcast at the same time, and it doesn't quite compute.
But then I guess a lot of times, because again, maybe if you edit a photo gallery, like I do, a lot of stuff is the same. Like you edit a gallery in chunks, don't you?
Okay, yeah.
Like most of the group photos are the same. So once you do one, a lot of it is just then synchronizing that over that, and then you're doing such minor tweaks. It's not as if you're starting from afresh on every photo.
Yeah.
That it is quite a repeatable task.
Yeah.
Particularly as well. Again, like I didn't use it at all last year, but once I start to kick back in of using it after shoot, or imagine a lot of that kind of the real stuff that you would be doing, like tiny differences in tints or white balances, that would be corrected by the AI anyway.
Yeah.
So you are literally just looking for distractions and going, okay,
yeah.
that person's not got their eyes open. Okay, there's that you know, that beer bottle in the background needs to get gone.
Yeah.
It's not like you're really kind of hard. I'm not piecing stuff together like you are. You're kind of working on image by image.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I color grade with YouTube on, so it's pretty much the same thing. It's just because photos not as natural to me. I'm thinking about that.
But
process.
Even again, I think is that kind of like work separation as well. Is that the reason that I probably get through so many photography podcasts is I like to listen to about photography whilst I'm doing. Do you know what I mean, whilst I'm editing, I'm in work mode to listen to a work podcast. But then if I was listening to like something which was like funny or comedy or something which is not work stuff, that feels weird. Then when you're not. Like, what's the reward for leisure? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I come downstairs and want to watch, you know, like YouTube, which is about like wrestling or about like Fortnite or, you know, like things that I kind of do for like play that aren't work, it feels like you've rewarded yourself with something which isn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's good.
I think my brain needs those very clear divisions of like, this is work, this isn't work.
Yeah, like a motivational, like photography or video podcast or something like this, just like people chatting and to feel like you're in work mode and people were there.
And I wonder that
links like co-working,
but it links to that co-working again. Maybe I know that I'm most productive in my office, and so I try and keep it. Like I don't even on a cozy day go, I could just come in the summer. Like I have this dream of like laying in a hammock in the garden, like answering emails. It would never happen because I'd be out there and I'd be too distracted by something else. Like even though like it's hot as balls in my office in the summer, I'd rather be sat up there with the fan on in my pants working because that is my office. That's where I work. That. You know what I mean? It's like kind of I almost need. It's not just in that case of like this is my work computer. It's like there needs to be those really clear boundaries in order to make that work.
That's just reminded me actually, which I haven't put, but like a lot of the time when things get a tiny bit quieter, or I'm doing a task like blogging or emails, that kind of thing, I find going to a cafe really helps me. And obviously there's a lot going on at a cafe, or at least the ones I go to. I go into town. And like there's people coming in and out, there's coffee being made, there's people serving stuff, there's people around me chatting about random stuff. But for some reason, all of that noise makes me zone in. And so I really struggle when I'm at home to write a blog, for example, because I don't enjoy it so much that it becomes that thing. But if I've got things going on around me, I'm at a cafe, the sun's shining through the window, like I really zone in much more.
But to a degree, do you not think then the cafe must become your shower? At home, there's too many other distractions.
Maybe,
You've got your blog screened up on your laptop. You have one screen, or you've got your big glasses on. Do you know what I mean? Looking at the big screen, but you don't have another monitor to put YouTube on. You wouldn't prop your phone up and have YouTube playing out loud in the cafe on your phone while you were doing that.
You've literally just got laptop drink.
And also, even though they're probably not, because I don't really sit there and peer at what other people are getting up to in the cafe. But if there's other people co-working or coming in, they kind of think, well. It's almost like that low key, like, why are you not working? Why are you just sat there peering out the window? Like you almost, because you go to the cafe to take the distractions away, like the distractions of home away. And I imagine now that, you know, that at the moment as well, where Kate's on maternity leave, she's at home all the time. Like, I'm not being wrong, I'm sure that you love making wedding films and you love your clients, but what's better than spending time with your daughter? And if you can hear them laughing in the other room, it would take every ounce of me to not want to go in and see what they're up to. So to go to the cafe.
Every day now, I'm like, I can hear bath time. I'm going to have a look.
Although it's hard to actively take yourself down the road in the cold and wet weather to sit somewhere else and then spend £5 on a coffee. That's the price you pay for that clarity, isn't it?
It's also like, I don't know what they call it. It's not white noise. It's like grey noise or something like that, where it's like general noise around you and nothing's particularly standing out, but that actually like is quite good for focusing, I think. It's like some people put coffee like coffee shop or cafe noises on, don't they? While they work, because it helps them.
Yeah, and again, if you do like those, again, you come here quite often, don't you? And I'm kind of setting up for pod in the morning, clean, and I have on YouTube on the TV. I'm downstairs again because we don't have a speaker now. We have the record player down here.
Yeah.
But again, if I'm cleaning or kind of putting lights up and stuff, I don't want to have to keep turning the record over.
Yeah.
I'll put you can get like 6, 8, cool, 10 hour
playlist,
lo-fi ones on the telly, and YouTube has endless amounts. And there's coffee shop ones, there's Christmassy ones. Again, there's Disney ones which I listen to. So they have like ambient sounds of Main Street or
comment to that,
whatever. And again, I find that I'm not in the house by myself and it's silent, but it's something which I can work to, which doesn't distract me, because it's like a screensaver, isn't it? The YouTube video itself is literally like a painted scene, which maybe some steam comes out the coffee cup, but that's all that happens. So I don't feel the need to watch it, but the ambience is enough.
Yeah, I feel that and especially like you say, when you're cleaning and stuff like that kind of thing just gets you just in a certain mindset, doesn't it? It sort of strips away all of like what society is at the moment, which is constant dopamine and like in your face. And you know, when I talk about Beast Games, like he's probably like capitalized on all of that the most.
So much so, anybody,
because he's mastered the human brain, like and how to get like your attention ASAP and everything like that. So what you want really to be productive is the opposite to all of that.
And I think, I've seen loads of ads on Instagram when the time I've been on there about this brick. Like the brick thing you can get, which is like a little plastic box which like bricks your phone for a certain amount of time. And you can almost get them, then you get an app for it, from what I know anyway, and then you can more or less set it and it stops. It's almost like a notification blocker on your phone. But you set it, and then once you've set it, say for 3 hours, that's it. You can't get into your phone for that long.
I'm not sure if it has a physical one. I think it may be just an app.
I think there is an app what you can do, or you can buy a sort of thing. It's called the Brick, I think, but it is. And that's for that. So if you really know that you are someone that needs that level of shut off, like you need to physically block yourself from from social media or whatever, then that is the next step that you can take. But I don't think that maybe for some people it has got that bad, they need to do that. I don't think that's the thing to be ashamed about. It's what it's designed to do. But at the same time, we've got businesses to run, and if you could get some time back to do more fun stuff, because you're not kind of half working throughout the day, you could be more productive for say 2 hours than kind of meander for 4 hours. Then you would have that 2 hours that you've saved to actually enjoy your life.
It's reprogramming the brain. It's like, don't stop after 20 minutes and start watching stuff, because you will just get into a rabbit hole of it. But if you say you had this brick hat, it won't work for someone like me. I don't know, like we'll get into things that don't work or haven't worked for us, I think, because that'd be quite cool as well. But that sort of thing wouldn't work for me, and I just don't know why, but it just, I can't justify not having that stuff available to me at the times where I need it.
No, I think that's it. For me, it would be that kind of, there would be kind of this in kind of the curiosity of what I could be missing out on that it's not showing me
would stop you from concentrating.
It's the same reason I don't use Do Not Disturb. The amount of times when I'm on holiday and something will come in, or I'll look at something and they go, why do you check your work emails? You're on holiday? Because it's like the fear of coming back to my desk 2 weeks later and there being 200 emails or something which I have dropped the ball on,
or something urgent.
That fear alone makes me have to check. Like whether something's bad, I would rather know how bad it is. It's like if you get a complaint, isn't it? I would rather someone deliver the email to me and go, we're not happy, this is X, Y, and Z, what we don't like. Because I go, brilliant, I can fix that, reply to them and go, I'm really sorry that it happened this way, this is what I've done to fix it, problem solved. I can walk away feeling kind of, that I've resolved it. Where when someone just emails you and goes, I'm not happy, and then you wait 2 weeks for the email to go, well, tell me why so I can fix it. Going on? That internal like crippling pressure of, oh my God, what have I done?
Or just like a really like vague description of the problem, and it's like, can you tell me what that actual problem is?
Give me the actionables of what I can do to make it right. And again, I think the social media thing's again the same. The chances are that nothing bad's going to happen in my day, that I could easily not look at WhatsApp all day and just come back to it at the end and it'd be fine. But it'd be that one time that it would be, say, Ro would text me from work being like, I really don't feel well, they've rushed me to hospital, and I don't miss it because I'm in my lovely like bubble of productivity for 6 hours.
Or you come back and we've all planned a trip in the group chat to somewhere and you're just like,
and you've completely missed it. Or we were getting tickets to this, and then you haven't got them because you were in your lovely productivity bubble. So I think, but also I don't feel the need I don't feel that I'm that bad that I need to take it that far, that I need a lockbox for my phone or a brick or whatever, I guess. But then if you do, then
But at the same time, like the Pomodoro method, I tried that as well, and that didn't work for me.
I bought a timer as well.
There were times I did it for like the first few times, and then the times where it hit 45 minutes, and I was like, I'm in the zone, I'm not stopping. And I don't need to stop at this point.
Or the other way, I feel like I've done my task, and it was like, you've still got 12 minutes left, and you're like, oh, what, can't I just fill in this gap then? It's like, well, I'd rather go, no, I'm done on that task. I feel the jubilation that I finished it. If I can just go for a wee and get a drink now, I'll then dive back in quicker.
Go to the fridge now. Yeah. That's exactly it. So that never worked. I feel like apparently it takes like 15 minutes to get fully focused on something anyway. So you're wasting a third of that time just getting focused.
Yeah, so I guess that if you looked at it on a graph, that kind of focus arc would follow the same as like when you look at people's like sleep patterns and stuff. If you've got like a whoop or whatever, like it takes you a while to. You don't just literally close your eyes and go straight into deep sleep, do you? Yeah. There is that kind of curve of you coming in or out of it.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that focus is the same, isn't it? The more you get into a task, or if you're reading a book, you get engrossed in it, that stuff can be happening around you. I'm sure it happens, if you're watching a film at home as well and not at the cinema, like something could be happening outside or whatever, and you kind of are so hooked on what's happening that everything else around you does kind of ebb away.
Yeah, definitely. And your focus goes entirely on one thing. Yeah.
And so I find that my day can really... those lengths of concentration can really vary depending on what I'm doing, how invested I am in it, or how invested I've let myself get into it. That sometimes I can be like, shit, I've been editing for 3.5 hours and I've not even barely looked away from the screen, which is probably just as bad for you.
Yeah.
But then because I'm in the zone, it's like, oh no, I want to carry on with this.
Also, it's like, I don't know if it's the same for you, but there's parts of the job that are definitely more exciting than others.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like the multicam ceremony and speeches edit it's probably my worst task, even though it's important, and I know it's important for the couple and whatever, but it's a task that is easily repeatable. Like AI could one day easily do that, do you know what I mean? Or something, or anybody who knows anything about an editing software could edit a multicam for me. So I'm doing it. It's a basic task. There's no creativity involved. But also I'm not able to listen to a podcast or do anything while I'm doing it.
But hopefully in time, again, when we record the AI episode, that there'll be a time in the near future where you could get an AI to do your multicams for you. It literally is a case of just building something there's no creative decisions being made. It's just layering different cameras and syncing audio.
There is something for it, but obviously I think particularly like speeches and stuff, quite emotional. So it wouldn't cut to reactions at the right times, but it would cut it up for you.
Yeah, so or even again, if it was just a case of compiling it in the first place and stuff, there's a way that you could
like this podcast you could do that. AI, the video part of it. So
because the thing that almost knows who's like when you go on a Zoom call and it knows who's speaking and it zooms in on their face and stuff.
It's pretty much that. But so those methods obviously haven't worked for us, and that's why we sort of said what is good for you will be individual. Like, are you someone who's like procrastinates loads, or are you someone who just likes to take sometimes rewarding yourself with a break isn't a big problem, is it? So,
no, it's definitely not. Or also sometimes though, the other way, if you know that you're a person which focuses and gets into hyper-focus, that you can lose a whole day. Do you know what I mean? If you're on an edit, if you go, I'm into this, and you get in at 9 and don't finish till 5 or 6, or you go, oh crap, it's dark, I didn't realise, and you haven't been to the toilet, eaten, or whatever in the meantime, maybe you do need something like the Pomodoro, or to set yourself a timer to break you out of that conversation for your own health of not spending 9 hours straight staring at a screen, so that you actually do stay hydrated, get some lunch.
Or if you had bad habits, just identify them and figure out what those bad habits are. I know someone that probably spends a couple of hours scrolling through Instagram Reels and TikTok a day, and doesn't realise it's done until the end, and they're like, oh, could have done something productive in that time. But it's just identifying what that is, and you don't want to stop yourself, because at the end of the day, that's what we do. We consume content. That's now. That's what we are as humans in a way. But you kind of need to figure out how it can fit into your life without damaging the product.
Yeah, because there must be a use to that. If you consume that much social media, it must mean that when you come to create your own social media, that you're marginally more aware of what's going on out there, as someone that doesn't take it. Or again, that's how you seek inspiration. Like we did an episode on inspiration, and I know some people really do get inspiration from social media or looking at others' accounts, or however you do that. We're not saying that social media is bad. It's given us a business, it's given us a platform and lots of things, but I also know how much of a time suck that it can be if you let it.
And also, it's not necessarily always inspiration. If I went and just sat and scrolled through wedding videos all day, I'd be so exhausted with wedding videos that I wouldn't want to edit my own ones. But
or you'd feel such a downer. Because you go onto Instagram and see everyone else's best wedding films, or the highlight reels of everybody's best days. If the wedding that you're editing is one of those maybe slightly rainier days that we talked about or whatever, and it's not the one, you're like, why do I even want to look at this now? Mine looks so bad compared to theirs. And it's never like that. that. So then again, it's seeing things at the time that you need to see it, isn't it, as well? So
you can be productive, you can be a procrastinator, but I just think it's about like finding a thing that works for you. We've spoke about some of the methods that you could try here, but also it's just about training your brain. Like this is like a bit of a tangent, but having a baby and talking to people with children and things like that has made me realize that like we're pretty similar in a way to babies and children. Like I met someone the other day who's like sibling or whatever, literally brought their kid up on an iPad, and they would go, and obviously this is well taboo and everything, but they would go to a restaurant, and there's different ways of parenting, and this is not a judgment, but it is an observation. They would go to a restaurant, and before doing anything, pop the kid down, pop the tablet in front of them, and that would be it. But now they're 2 years old, that tablet is no longer entertaining them. So they're like they get given the tablet, throw it away, and they're like, no, I want something a bit more stimulating than that. So even the thing that is considered the most overstimulating thing for a kid isn't stimulating enough for this kid. So
it's the gateway drug.
And that's why they say, obviously, like for babies and children, they need something that's not quite as dopamine inducing. And there's different, programs like Bluey is probably one of the better ones I've heard for. It's not as dopamine inducing. There's not crazy transitions, all this stuff going on. But a lot of kids' programs are just like colours and in your face, and like Fortnite, for example, is designed for addiction for children, isn't it? Because there's colours and lots of stuff going on all the time. But we as adults are exactly the same. Like the more we expose ourselves to things that make us happy, the less it will make us happy. And that is literally where procrastination comes from. So,
which is mad, isn't it? Because you think back into like kind of like history. Like, if you go back even far enough, like pre-TV, like you can see now, can't you? When like someone introduced the radio or like cinema was a thing, why it was such a marvel. Of like, there was never escapism or dopamine, like things that would draw you in. Particularly if you then, you can go and see a moving picture or a video of like somewhere on the other side of the world that you'd never visited and go, oh, these things exist. Like it must seem so wondrous that would be so kind of entertaining to you because you'd never seen anything like that. Where I think that's the problem now, is that because we have the ability, and the same with when couples look at our work or whatever, is that social media exposes you to everything on every level, or you can have access to nearly anything that you want, that you can type in to search for instantly. That level of wonder's not there anymore, is there? So it's no wonder that the more you use it, the quicker you push it, or what can I do with this?
That then looking for something new
that it exhausts you, or you almost maybe do need to then have a reset, or if you are able to limit your exposure to that, it still feels like more of a reward.
I'm about to say don't listen to people, but if you do find yourself in a massive like procrastination rut, then do like look up dopamine detoxes and stuff, because it's actually like it's like almost a reset for the brain to get that stuff done. And I've definitely tried variations of it before, and after a couple of weeks you just feel so much more mindful. It's great. And
I think we spoke about it obviously earlier in the episode that I found as well, and one of my kind of bigger goals for this year, or things that I've had just kind of once in general, is that I've decided that I would like to live a more analog life again, or that like I don't think that social media is particularly a problem for me, but just the idea that taking the time to do things kind of by hand or longer, or and maybe I had already started without realising that we were saying about changing my watch and things like that, is I think it's those little kind of differences that you can make have made a big difference. So like, I picked up a diary again and started writing in a book, like writing my thoughts down, rather than, there's a really good journal app or notes app on the phone, but it's more time with your phone in your hand. So to go back to physically writing something, and the first few days my wrist really hurt because I don't write that often anymore. That you kind of train it up, or it's doing those things, isn't it? Like I've never wanted to go down the habit of getting a Kindle. I still like the idea of holding a book. And it may sound such silly things, but it means that again I'm not kind of pulling myself back to a screen, and that's kind of that's the things that I feel like I need. That it means that when I am on Instagram or I'm on my computer, I'm not trying to use that for everything anymore.
It goes back to that analog thing, doesn't it? Of like changing back to an analog watch, so you haven't got a screen, or you're not constantly reachable at all times. Or
I feel like I'm not ruled by because I know that I had the potential to let those things. The same as with work, like you've put in your notes as well. Like I think I probably work more than the average person, like more than someone who worked a 9 to 5. And I think some of that's because I enjoy my job, but also because there's always something to do. Or maybe because you do procrastinate through the day, there's always something left to do, or you always feel that you want to feel that you're on top of it. And then the
And
more
you're
that
never on top of it,
the more
really.
that you realise, that mindset shift of you're never on top of it, and you need to take some time for yourself, because when you do step away from the grind, that's when you have most clarity about those things. That maybe that's why this year, that's one of those kind of things on my list, is that in the time that I'm spent in the shower reading a book, on a walk with my dog, like, again, leave the headphones at home. I don't need to be listening to a podcast while I'm walking. Just be out for a walk.
I'm a massive that's a massive thing with me, is that if I'm out, I have to have my AirPods in. And so I've been really trying to just go for a walk, and just, even though all I'm listening to is the cars going past me because I live in the middle of this city, it's still less stimulating than just having constantly people talking in your ear all day, sort of thing. So, and again,
so when you do sit down to listen to that podcast, it feels more like a treat or a reward, or it feels that it triggers something in you, rather than because it's not available all of the time.
Definitely.
So I think I feel like we kind of wandered in quite a few tangents over that kind of course of that episode, but I think the kind of the core, the core elements of it, I think, is probably you just need to take a deep, hard look in the mirror, look over your days, or look where your biggest pinch points are, or what are the things that you procrastinate on most, and find ways that you can limit those or harness them in a way so that when you're doing other tasks that need to get done, you're limiting distractions.
Limiting distractions, and not being too harsh on yourself. Don't set those unrealistic expectations. You can, again, watch productivity experts or whatever who recommend you designate time in your calendar. I'm going to spend 1 hour reading in the morning and then 2 hours editing. Most of us are too scatty for all of that, and just want to get stuff done based on what seems the most important right there.
It's exciting a lot of times.
Exactly. So, and everyone's going to be different, so don't punish yourself for it. And let's be honest, no one is working from, even the people that work 9 to 5, they are not working flat out from 9 to 5 most of the time.
They're not.
They've got their friends there. They'll turn around. They'll have conversations with each other, even outside the lunch breaks. And that people who are often doing manual work, they're probably going for they're probably taking a break every now and then for a coffee and to have a chat with each other. You're not expected to sit at that desk and just literally just focus throughout.
And I'm sure there was even a survey, particularly during sort of COVID times, where, businesses that were very adamant that their jobs couldn't be done at home actually experienced their employees being more productive at home because they separated them. So there wasn't that I'm going to walk to the toilet, or I'm going to go to the canteen, or I'm going to loiter by the water cooler for this long.
Conversations.
And that's, again, the fact that it's like a thing shows how often or commonplace that is in offices. But when you say to those people, no, go and work in the corner of your living room in a house by yourself, they got more work done. Or they didn't get there because their fridge was in the next room. The toilet wasn't a block away or whatever. They took less breaks, or they didn't spend as long at lunch to kind of thing. So they were more productive, which is great for the business, but maybe for the person it's not so great. So where most of us do work from home, almost injecting a little bit of office culture or distraction into your day isn't always the worst thing. Because
definitely, having your group chats and your community and things like that and again, that actually really relates to our episode, which was 2 episodes ago, about being self-employed. So if you haven't listened to that, go and listen to that one, because there's sort of the advantages and disadvantages of being self-employed. One of those things is that you are on your own for quite a lot of the time, and I think that can cause procrastination, because you're not getting that what people get, where they get that commute to work, and then they get when they're at work, and the only people they can chat to is the people that they work with all the time. And some people don't even have their phones with them when they're at work and things like that.
They're not allowed to, or whatever. So again, but then that's forced limitation, which I think not only is always healthy, but then again, if you've got a boss going, you need to get this job done by this day, you've got someone to tell you to do it. But when you don't have that because you're self-employed, you've got to be that filter for yourself, haven't you? Which as an adult, which you doesn't answer to anybody, that's a really difficult thing to do. It is. So hopefully, again, if you want to leave us accountable for you guys, or you want to kind of have this podcast on whilst you're procrastinating, and maybe it's given you something to think about. And I think at this time of year where, like we said, edits are much more rinse and repeat, maybe you are out shooting less or engaging with other humans less, maybe having an episode like this to take a look over your working day and kind of where your pinch points are, so you can move into the year as a more productive version of yourself.
It's okay to be bored by it. Even if you love your job, it's okay to be bored by this bit. But like you said, look over your pinch points, figure out what you are spending a lot of time doing that you shouldn't be doing, and work on it from there. Or
you're doing that thing at the wrong time. I think that's a lot of it.
Exactly,
It's if you can just push it into neat boxes more, then you'll do all of the things better, rather than trying to do lots of things at once.
Focus on that.
That was a good one. What a good episode first back of the year as well. That's a really good one. So
it's productive.
It was very much productive.
25-minute procrastination.
But I am very much ready for my meal deal now.
Same,
then obviously this afternoon we're going to come back and dive into that AI episode. We can hear all about your Christmas advert that you made and the layers to that. And also, again, we're going to talk about some AI tools that are out there, not only for like actual physical photo and video editing, but also for admin and stuff as well. So that, again, you can be even more productive because you've got, AI stuff working for you whilst you're doing the tasks that you want to work
back into that again. That should be exciting.
Yes.
So I'm off to buy a new watch.
I'm off to get a meal deal. Time's rumbling. Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening. See you next one.
Nice.